Hello, and welcome to the Film Whisperers. My name is Alice.
And I'm Saj.
We're two film nerds who like to talk all things film. Have you ever watched a film and you've become completely obsessed with it? It's one of your favorite films, and then you find out that either a director or an actor, someone that's had immediate connection to making that film, has a really bad controversy surrounding them?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I was obsessed with this film, but I certainly liked it a lot when it came out.
Okay.
American Beauty.
I loved that film as well.
Yeah.
What was the controversy?
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's a good way to actually talk about art and separating the art from the artist and what it actually means today. And should we engage with art where someone in the cast or crew has been labelled as problematic or been cancelled?
We'll talk about film specifically as the art.
Yeah.
And can we separate the art from an artist?
Correct.
So while we're saying that, we're saying a director, an actor, anyone part of production, the screenwriter, the work that it's based off, the writer for that.
Have you got a film?
I have so many that I like, and now it's like harder to watch. Anything with Woody Allen. I really like Woody Allen films, and I find it hard to engage in that media now.
Yeah.
It's completely changed for me.
That's interesting. So I like Woody Allen films as well. My question to you is, when someone does a film and it's actually remarkable, so there's a couple of Woody Allen films that come to mind where they're funny. If the film in itself is great and we're engaging with art from I'm putting this on my TV right now, why do you reckon there is this need for us to kind of go, but let's think about the director, let's think about the actor, because the product that they're giving us is something that's quality?
What we're talking about right now, it opens a can of worms. There's so many opinions on this subject. There's so many things which have been written about it. It's really hard, and I think it's a personal decision at the end of the day. Why do we ask this question? Because these people who have done something that our society personally deem as a horrible act or acts, they are getting a financial benefit usually from us engaging with their media. So if we buy a DVD, if we go to the cinema, if we stream their film, they're getting money from that, usually. I think that we should also mention, we're talking about the big players in this film.
Yeah.
Because film, as we know, there are so many people that are involved in making film. We never hear about a makeup artist, for example, or a best boy. They could be horrible, but they've been a part of making the film. They're still in the fibers of this bit of art that we're obsessed with. Why do you think that matters?
Because they're the ones in the spotlight, firstly. They're the ones who are the draw card. And I think because their names are recognizable, it's easy for media, social media, to completely tear them apart. Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned the fibers as well, because sometimes it can go beyond a production set. So let's take Harry Potter, for example. The person benefiting from that was never, J.K. Rowling was probably never on set, but she's still benefiting from it because the stuff that get made are inspired by the work that she's done as well. So I think, again, that broadens broadens the lens a bit even more. So
where the source material is
coming from. Yeah.
Then it comes to another point is, well, when we made the film, J.K. Rowling was, we didn't know about her thoughts about trans people, and it seems like she's against trans people, from my understanding. And so a lot of people have an issue with Harry Potter universe now.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, when the films were made, that wasn't something we knew about.
Yeah.
And that person was perhaps a different person to who they are now.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, because we'll just talk about, say, early films, the artists in the early days of making their artwork. Maybe they're not as rich and they don't know as many people and they haven't had so many opportunities to be bad and do bad things to society.
That's right.
So people do change. The other part of that is they also could change for the better. So, for example, we've got Mark Wahlberg as an example.
So he's problematic or was problematic?
Well, I guess, again, it's a personal decision, maybe. This is the reason I'm going to bring him up. When he was young, a teenager, there is stories that I think which are credible stories that he and his friends threw rocks at African American children and called them racial slurs. They also beat up with his friends 2 Vietnamese men. But I know that there was some controversy around that. But then he's gone on to have a great career. I don't think that he condones that behaviour. I think he says it's bad. But it's not really brought up. He seems to have grown up. He doesn't talk about that kind of stuff, but society has decided he's okay. We watch his films.
Yes. In fact, this is the first time I'm hearing about that.
Yeah.
So the story has definitely been arguably erased from us having conversations about it.
Yeah, and is that because society at a certain point decided to forgive him and so now we're not seeing it in media anymore?
Yeah. I'm also trying to run a list in my head of some of those controversial people in a film. And another one that comes to mind is Armie Hammer. Mm-hmm. And very recently, I watched Call Me By Your Name again. Mm-hmm. And I guess to me, I just went, this is a good film. And because he's someone who I guess in the more recent past, things have come up about him and I guess he's been in the media quite a bit. I chose to watch that film because I wanted to watch a good film, and I deliberately chose to separate the art from the artist. Mm-hmm. I'm sharing this because I think it's okay to sometimes do that, and I think it's okay to own up to it as well because it is still a film. It's available on streaming platforms, and if it is available on streaming platforms, I feel as if you have the right to then decide on whether or not whether you want to watch this or not.
Yeah.
Another one is James Franco, and he's done so many amazing films. What do we do with him? Like, you know, are we not engaging with the movies that he did? Some of them are really good as well, or does it depend on how bad the act was? So with Armie Hammer, yes, there was allegations of cannibalistic behaviour, which is pretty messed up. With James Franco, there was allegations of sexual assault. And then there's Woody Allen, and I would say, that's really, really, really messed up. So does it depend on, is there a spectrum, and do we put these people on how bad the crime is depending on what the crime is?
I think there is a spectrum. Yep. I mean, and this I think is where it becomes more personal. Say someone has been involved in domestic abuse, sexual abuse, child abuse. I mean, is that different from if someone stole something when they were a kid? We're talking about a personal experience for us. So I would find that maybe more of an issue if someone has done domestic abuse. Yeah. Because that's something very close to my heart. Yeah. And then something which doesn't affect me as much. Yeah. Maybe I wouldn't, or it's not a personal, it doesn't, trigger me kind of thing. Yeah. Then maybe I'd find it easier to forgive. And I think that's where the personal choice comes in. Okay. That I can say, okay, you don't like this artist because what they're doing is really close to you, or it's really a horrible act to you. And then to me, it's not so much of a horrible act. So I'd have a lesser problem kind of not sweeping under the rug, but separating the artist from the art.
In a way, what I'm hearing, Alice, is sometimes we have to be careful with who we share these things with because we don't know the values of the person we are talking to, and in a way, it's almost like, by saying, oh, I watched a film with James Franco, I watched a film with Armie Hammer, if the person we're talking to has values that make them want to completely dislike these people and never engage with their work, that is when the trouble starts, because it's almost like someone can easily tell us, you watched that film with him in it, or you watched that film that that this person did this. How can you? That's disgusting. And I think it all comes down to, as you said, it's people.
For me, if I watch something which I really like the art, it doesn't mean that I think that that particular person's behavior is okay. I'm just separating it. Like you can separate it because you really
100%
love that artwork. And I think also you might have watched a film when you were a kid, for example. This is another thing of personal choice. You might have watched that, you don't know about the artist or something, and it's become, you've consumed that art, and now it's something different to you.
Yeah.
You've separated from that person. That person, the artist is dead.
Yeah.
The art is now how you've decided to consume it.
Yeah.
And how you decided to interpret it.
Yeah.
When people then give you more information, it's like, hang on, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
This art, this is my own personal little world.
Yeah.
And I watch film to escape all this stuff.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So why are you trying to taint my beautiful fantasy world?
Yeah, exactly. And another person I was thinking of, the infamous Harvey Weinstein. How many films would he have produced? So many that we probably watch without knowing that he's produced it.
He was such a big figure in Hollywood.
Yes.
That it's hard to escape him.
Yeah.
And a lot of actors and directors and people knew about him.
Yeah.
They're not saying it, but come on.
Yeah.
So
were they enablers?
Totally. Can we watch them because they've enabled this guy?
Yeah.
Or they've decided to work with this guy on other films.
Yes.
I mean, it's really, it's just personal choice. How far do you personally want to go? How bad was their act? Have they apologized for it? Have they paid crime and punishment? Have they paid the crime, paid for their crime? It's hard. And then another point I want to bring up is if we decide we're not going to watch a film, say there was an actor was one of the lead actors, so they're a big part of the film. It became quite popular. It's a very good, well-made film. There's a lot of people that worked on it. And then we find out that the director, for example, has done some really terrible, unexcusable acts. Does that mean that I should not watch that film, or you shouldn't watch that film, and then all the other people are now not going to benefit from that film that they've put all their heart and soul into?
I would say, you were talking about directors and their abusive behaviour, but at the moment, so we're filming this in Jan 2025. It ends with us. The Justin Baldoni Blake Lively saga is currently it's at the height of its hype, and there's all these allegations going left and right around Justin being a really toxic person on set,
but also Blake being controlling. And maybe she's just using it as a reason to control the film and take it from this someone that wasn't as high up in Hollywood.
Yeah. Have you seen this film?
No.
It's really good.
Okay.
It was so well done, and what I loved about the film was, I think every straight guy should see it because it talks about abusive relationships, and I'm not saying that it's only heterosexual relationships that are abusive, but it's just how they bring the story of what it's like to be in an emotional abusive relationship or an abusive relationship to life. And it's quite powerful. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with this saga, and to be honest, I don't even care. I will still watch this film, and I'll recommend people to watch this film because it is a great movie. And again, where are my morals when it comes to something like that? I just want to engage with art. Is that ignorant of me to say? I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know, because I've made a decision that I want to watch this film because it is a good film.
I didn't want to watch the film when I heard all this controversy way back when I just thought, I don't want to watch it. This kind of sounds boring. I kind of like Blake Lively and I kind of don't like it. I don't know this Justin guy. I didn't care about him until I found out about this controversy. But again, it's very back and forth and I kind of don't care about it.
Yeah.
But I also do want to get to the truth and I don't know if we actually will.
Will you watch it?
Maybe.
Are you hesitant because of the controversy or the subject matter of the film doesn't interest you?
I think it's a subject matter.
Okay, right.
I
That's
think
different.
I just can't be bothered watching. Yeah, if it was something that I was more interested in watching, but just because it's about domestic abuse, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to watch it. I think I just have to be in the right mood.
Yeah.
But I did want to bring up about that is we also might want to talk about, can we separate the artist from the art when we do learn about an actor or director or whoever it is, and it's not controversy, but you just don't like them, because that affects how I watch a film. Like, I don't really like some actors, or they just annoy me, their voice annoys me, and so I won't watch the film.
But that's different. They haven't done anything wrong. You have made a personal choice.
But I'm separating. I'm still not separating an art from the artist.
Yeah.
Anyway, like even if they've completely transformed.
Yeah.
Or they're not even on the film. It's a director. You just see their directing style perhaps, but I'm still not separating it.
Yeah.
I think I'm more likely to not watch it because I don't like someone. Just I don't like their personality.
Yeah. As movie nerds, we choose what we want to watch, right? And I think, like just what you said, we watch very different films. Okay, and we choose what we want to watch because we either like the subject matter, we like the artist in it, or there's something about the film, the story is appealing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think in that regard, that is, in a way, that's almost like a personal choice that we make based on the artist that we admire or we don't. And I think that is completely different. So I think it's almost like we're picking and choosing when we want to select the art from the artist. Having said that, if I was to say to someone, I don't watch Leonardo DiCaprio films because I don't like him, it's less controversial than me saying, I love James Franco and his films. Again, I'm speaking hypothetically now. Yeah. Because the moment I say I don't like Leonardo DiCaprio, it's okay, well, yeah, whatever, you're just being you. But if I was to say, I like James Franco and I like his films, that's when the problem starts, because that's when you have people judging your choices. So
it's morally reprehensible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, so that's the problem.
Like we keep saying, it's a personal choice. I want to bring up Woody Allen. His voice is so strong in his films. Yeah. His earlier films, he would act in it himself. Yes. He was the lead actor. Yeah. He directed it. He wrote it. Such a strong voice throughout the film. And I think that's kind of why I kind of struggle to watch those films now. Yeah. Because what he's done, in my opinion, is really terrible. And I find it hard to separate it just because I'm hearing his voice so much. Yeah. But if I didn't hear his voice as much, I'd probably still be okay watching it.
Okay. I've got another question for you. And this is now where I'm sort of deviating a bit when it comes to separating the artist from the art. If the art itself has been labeled problematic, would you watch it? So I can think of two examples. These are not films, they're TV shows. Okay. Pam and Tommy. Yes. 13 Reasons Why.
So the subject matter is terrible.
Yep. So pretty much Pam and Tommy was considered to be a very disrespectful telling of Pamela Anderson's trauma with the sex tape. And Pamela Anderson herself came out and said, I did not approve this. This is not okay. And obviously they didn't care. They still made this show. 13 Reasons Why got a lot of bad press because of its depiction of a teen suicide and whether it was glorifying it. So those are only two TV shows I can think of. I'm actually afraid to tell some people that I've seen Pam and Tommy, and because I think, and don't come at me, but I thought it was a great show. The acting was so good. Lily James was spectacular as Pamela Anderson. But at the same time, am I a bad person for engaging with that art? Because I know that the suffering of one woman was just taken for granted because they wanted to make this show about her sex tape, a traumatic period in her life. And same with 13 Reasons Why. I know people who have avoided watching that show because they think it's completely irresponsible for Netflix to have done that. But again, I saw it. I'm sure you would have seen it.
I've seen both.
Yeah.
I enjoyed both.
Yeah.
I get what they're like with Pamela. I understand that, but I also, I think I can separate it.
Yeah, same.
It's because that's what other people's opinion of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing it that way. Pam, it's a bit hard because she's alive at the moment and it's a film about her life.
Yeah.
But she's a public figure and there's so many films about public figures where the person probably disagrees with it, but it's not their choice kind of thing if they're a public figure. I don't know. Again, it's icky territory, but I would separate it because I'm seeing it in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm not a teenager watching 13 Reasons Why.
Correct.
But I did watch Virgin Suicides when I grew up.
Yes.
And people might think that that's glorifying.
And I would say that definitely felt like it was glorifying suicide.
Yeah, they were all very beautiful and romantic. You know, I watched it then and I watch it now and I take it differently, but it didn't make me think a certain way about that subject matter.
Yeah.
Personally, I probably did. Let's be real. It probably did affect me a little bit as a teenager. But I mean, did it say that it's 13 plus or whatever it was? Yeah. I don't know.
The other question I was thinking of is we don't have these conversations around sport, do we? Sport seems to be very protected. We don't go out there. There's no one saying, I don't watch the AFL because so-and-so in this team committed a crime.
I think there is people that say that. I don't think it maybe gets as much attention, definitely not worldwide attention, as a worldwide release of a film, for example. But I think there is, but not as much. Absolutely. They don't cop as much, do they?
No, not at all.
And it's the same thing. They're part of a team. A filmmaker, a film is part of a crew. You know, it's part of a crew. It's part of a team. Maybe we just don't care as much because we don't watch sport as much.
Maybe. But those of my friends that do, I don't think I've heard one person ever go down that path on this person's problematic. And look, we all know that clearly sportsmen, there's a lot of issues there, but no one talks about it.
Because they enjoy it too much to care.
Yes. Exactly.
Maybe that's why we watch the film, because we
enjoy
it too much to care.
Yeah. And the next thing I wanted to bring up, we're talking about all these problematic artists. It's always men.
It was hard to find examples of females.
Women. Yeah.
And I wonder why that is. I mean, we know why.
We know why, yeah.
Because they're not doing these crimes as much.
Yeah.
If there was a female, whoever, that committed a crime, I think I'd feel the same way as if I did with a man.
How to say without sounding problematic, but on a film set or when working on a film, the women, it's almost like they feel like they probably need to behave or they have to be on guard all the time because they know that if they do something wrong, their reputation is going to be severely damaged and they'll never get a chance to work again. Whereas I think with the men, they'll still be given opportunities. You know, there's talk about Kevin Spacey coming back after all of that. Same with people like James Franco and stuff. They're not going to stop working. They'll find ways to keep working.
Now, I'm not sure here exactly, but Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Heard, yeah.
I think Johnny Depp's doing films, isn't he?
I'm pretty sure he is.
I think people are still watching it, but I haven't really heard much about Amber Heard, or she's very much under the spotlight with anything that she's on. When we talk about the bad subject matter, really what we're talking about is sexual assault, domestic violence, murder, if it does happen, and
violent
racial crime.
Racial crime, yes.
I think they're the four main categories. And then some sort of power, bad thing, but I think that kind of gets swept under the rug unless there's some sexual violence towards it. I think when we talk about these things, we're talking about cancer culture as well.
Yes.
And we've kind of learnt that, this is from what I see, it doesn't really work. Everyone kind of comes back in their own maybe micro audience.
Yeah.
they'll find an audience.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't be as big as they were, but they'll still find a way to make money.
We've been really lucky to be part of the most recent feminist movement that happened, right? And I think from around 2014 is when the new wave of feminist movement started, where there were all these movies and TV shows and even singers coming out with really sort of strong female with the strong female presence, and that led to the Me Too movement, and that was when I guess cancel culture was at its peak. I think we have learned a lot from the Me Too movement and from the feminist movement and what cancel culture does. Because at one point, if you remember, these men were just dropping like flies. All these reports were coming out saying this person's been accused, this person's been, sexual misconduct allegations. They were coming out left, right, and center, and they were getting cancelled immediately. And I think at the time there was a lot of anger as well, and it was easier just to cancel and just put these people out of work.
It was sort of a mob mentality.
Yes,
Pitchfork,
yes,
get
correct.
rid of him. We've heard one thing, get rid of him.
Yeah, and I think now we've sort of realised maybe that was not the best response, and we are coming out of it on the other end going, maybe there's a chance that these people could potentially find those micro moments and come back and redeem themselves, so to speak, depending on, I guess, what the crime is.
We're kind of refining what cancel culture is about. There is definitely some people, they've been judged by law in whatever country it is, usually America. And they've been shown as guilty. they've been shown as guilty. And then we've kind of cut their stuff, but we still kind of watch their films.
Like Harvey Weinstein.
Like Harvey Weinstein. It's not yes or no.
Yeah.
Can we separate the art from the artist? It's not a yes or no. It's a very grey area, and it's a very personal choice.
I think it's a personal choice. I don't think it's a grey area. Okay. Me personally, I think it's either yes or no. And if you want to separate the art from the artist, go for it. You have the right to do that. If you don't, again, go for it. You have the right to do that. I think it becomes a grey area is when we worry about how people will react. That's the problem. And I think we sometimes have to be mindful of who we say these things out to. So for example, if I was to say, I was just listening to I Believe I Can Fly, I just saw Space Jam, it's the audience that matters. So am I saying it to someone, am I saying that to someone who will get upset at me? And that's when it becomes the problem. So you can consume whatever you like. But
absolutely.
But it's
freedom of speech.
But it's it's about, are you okay with what that, firstly, are you okay with what that does? So who's getting the money? And you can be, whatever. But then also, who do you then share that information with?
I'm a yes person too, but I think I would do a little, I watched this film. I don't like that person. What that person did was bad, but I really like that film. I think you could just say something like that. I really like this film. You just do a little cliff note. Yes, I know, just in case someone goes, and then that's it. If they keep going on and on, I think that's when you're like, well, I probably shouldn't talk to you about those kind of things again. You're very like...
You're cut and dry about certain things. For people watching, I'd love to know what people have to say about this, because it is such a delicate topic. It's controversial. It's it has a lot of opinions attached to it.
A lot of emotions.
A lot of emotions attached to it. And what kind of person are you? Do you care, or do you not care, or do you feel like there's a grey area? Do you care what other people think? What's going on in your mind? Like, that's something I'm very curious about. That's all the time we have for today. But you can check us out on our podcast. It's called Rewind, Rethink. You can listen to us on any app that you get your podcast on. And with Rewind, Rethink, we watch a film and we talk about it in a contemporary lens, and we see whether the film stands the test of time. Thanks everyone for watching. My name is Saj.
I'm Alice.
See ya.